If there were a contest for the most haunted by an HOA this century, I'd be a top contender, maybe even take the crown. Picture this, a quiet suburban neighborhood turned upside down by secrets buried in a 150-year-old barn. I'm Noah Bennett, a freelance software developer who inherited my grandfather's ranch in Willow Creek Estates, a place where manicured lawns hide darker truths. The trouble started 3 months after I moved in, when a call from Sheriff Daniel Torres sliced through my morning coffee like a knife. "Noah, we've got a complaint about your property," he said, his voice calm but heavy with unspoken questions. "Need to inspect your barn tomorrow." The complaint came from none other than Margaret Hensley, the HOA president who ruled Willow Creek like a dictator in pearls. She claimed my barn was a hotbed of dangerous materials, a threat to neighborhood safety. But when the police opened those weathered doors, what they found wasn't just a pile of old tools, it was a Pandora's box that would unravel Margaret's carefully constructed facade. I was still reeling from the sheriff's call when I heard the crunch of heels on my gravel driveway. Through the kitchen window, I saw Margaret approaching, her face taut as a wire, clutching a folder like it was her lifeline. But it wasn't her usual smug authority that caught my eye, it was the way her gaze flicked to the barn, not with confidence, but with something akin to dread. "Mr. Bennett," she began, her voice dripping with the fake sincerity of someone who'd spent a decade policing mailbox colors. "I trust the sheriff informed you about the inspection. That barn of yours has been showing signs of suspicious activity." I leaned against the doorframe, studying her. Suspicious activity? The barn hadn't been touched in months. Yet Margaret rattled off details: where the door was, which windows faced east, even the spot where the roof sagged like she'd mapped the place in her sleep. For someone claiming concern about trespassers, she knew far too much. The conversation was a tightrope walk of veiled threats and HOA jargon. Margaret insisted the inspection was routine, but hinted at legal consequences if I resisted. All the while, her eyes kept darting to the barn, betraying a fear she couldn't quite mask. "Your grandfather was a private man, Noah," she said as she turned to leave, her voice sharp with warning. "I hope we don't find anything that would stain his legacy." It wasn't concern, it was a threat, and it lingered like smoke as I watched her SUV peel away. That night, unable to sleep, I caught a glimpse of movement outside. Peering through the curtains, I saw Margaret circling the barn at 11 p.m., her phone's flashlight casting eerie shadows as she tested door handles and inspected corners. What was she so desperate to find her hide? Sheriff Torres arrived at 9 a.m., his deputy, Officer Ryan Carter, trailing behind. The sheriff's skepticism was palpable as he glanced at Margaret, who stood clutching her folder like a shield. "Her complaint's awfully specific for someone who's never been on your property," he muttered, shaking my hand. Margaret led us to the barn with the confidence of someone who'd walked the path 100 times, sidestepping loose gravel and ducking under a low branch without a glance. "Main entrance is this way," she announced, pointing to the eastern wall. "There's a side door, usually unlocked." Officer Carter's eyebrow shot up, scribbling a note. How did the HOA queen know so much about a supposedly dangerous barn? The barn itself was a relic of my great-great-grandfather's era, its hand-hewn beams a testament to a time before Willow Creek's suburban sprawl. As Sheriff Torres pried open the padlocked doors, Margaret's composure cracked. "Sheriff, maybe we should call hazmat," she blurted, her voice tight with panic. "If there's dangerous stuff inside," Torres paused, his eyes narrowing. "You didn't mention hazardous materials in your complaint, Mrs. Hensley. You said trespassing and drugs." The doors groaned open, releasing a gust of stale air-old wood, oil, and something unplaceable. Inside, tools hung on pegs, ropes coiled in corners, and ancient farm equipment rusted quietly. But Officer Carter's flashlight caught something else, a heavy metal safe tucked under a tarp, its presence like a silent accusation. Margaret's reaction was instant. "Probably just old receipts," she said, her voice climbing an octave. "Nothing for law enforcement." But Torres was already moving toward it, his curiosity piqued by her obvious discomfort. As his flashlight swept the barn, I noticed odd details: fresh power cables along the walls, a modern outlet near the safe, and disturbed dust on the floor. Then Carter called out, "Sheriff, over here." Near the back wall, newer floorboards stood out, their edges too clean against the weathered wood. Torres knelt, tracing hidden hinges and a faint gap. "Well, I'll be damned," he said, glancing at Margaret, whose face had drained of color. This just got interesting. Margaret stumbled back, fumbling with her phone. "Sheriff, we should call the proper authorities." But Torres was already lifting the panel, revealing a hand-dug cellar, 8 by 10 feet, lined with storage containers. His flashlight swept the space, landing on a leather journal and a metal box on a wooden table. "Noah," he said, his tone grave, "did you know your grandfather had a secret room down here?" Before I could answer, he opened the journal, and my grandfather's familiar script filled the page. But these weren't farming notes. The first entry, dated March 15, 2008, read, "Today, I saw something that changed everything I thought I knew about my neighbors." As Torres read aloud, a chilling story emerged. My grandfather, Samuel Bennett, had documented a human trafficking network operating through our county. Dates, license plates, and descriptions of vehicles carrying cargo that cried painted a grim picture. One figure, M.H., appeared reputedly a local official with intimate knowledge of the operation. Margaret's protests grew frantic. "This is nonsense," she cried, grabbing for the journal. "An old man's delusions." But Torres held it out of reach, his suspicion deepening. The metal box held the real dynamite, photographs of vehicles, faces, and a younger Margaret Hensley, clipboard in hand, overseeing a white van's grim cargo. Financial records showed payments to an account in her maiden name, tied to her role at the county transportation office from 2007 to 2011. Margaret's defenses crumbled. "I had gambling debts," she pleaded. "They forced me to help with paperwork." But a digital recorder from the box told a different story. My grandfather's voice, calm but firm, confronted Margaret in a recorded call. "I've got enough to put you away for life, Margaret. Cooperate, or you're done." Her response was chilling. "You don't know who you're messing with, Samuel. They'll bury you." The barn fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Then Mrs. Elena Rivera appeared in the doorway, her elderly frame radiating quiet fury. The neighbor I'd known only as a kind gardener held a manila envelope. "Sheriff, I have something to add," she said, ignoring Margaret's gasp. Elena had worked with Margaret at the county office, quietly copying permits and records that exposed the trafficking scheme. Her documents, official, stamped, undeniable, showed Margaret authorizing fraudulent permits for humanitarian relocations that were anything but. Photographs from Elena's office window captured Margaret's illicit meetings, each tied to a suspicious permit. Every permit she signed was a person, Elena said, her voice steel. Mothers, children, families torn apart. The final blow came from an email my grandfather sent to the FBI 3 days before his death, warning that Margaret planned to destroy evidence and that he feared for his life. Margaret's excuses that she was a minor player, coerced, rang hollow against the evidence. When Agent Laura Kim arrived with an FBI team, the barn became a federal crime scene. Kim revealed a 3-year investigation into Willow Creek's HOA, which had laundered $2 million through fake projects and inflated fees. Margaret's complaint had backfired spectacularly, giving agents legal access to the evidence without a warrant. "You handed us everything," Kim told her, almost amused. Margaret's arrest was quiet, her defiance reduced to a whisper. "I just followed orders." But the coordinated arrests of other HOA board members and the viral spread of the story, 5 million views, and counting, shattered Willow Creek's facade. Survivors identified Margaret from photos, their testimonies exposing a network of modern slavery. My grandfather's ranch became the Samuel Bennett Center for Trafficking Survivors, a beacon of hope funded by grants and donations. A year later, a letter from Samuel arrived, revealing his secret FBI contacts and his acceptance of the risks he faced. "If my death exposes their crimes," he wrote, "it will have been worth it." Margaret's 25-year sentence closed a chapter, but the scars remained. Willow Creek rebuilt under Elena's leadership, transparent and accountable. Federal probes, dubbed Operation Clean House, targeted similar HOA fronts across Texas. Standing on my porch, I saw the barn not as a relic of secrets, but as a testament to my grandfather's courage. Margaret's fall sparked debate: how many other suburban tyrants hide such sins? Justice came late, but it came, proving that even the quietest voices can topple empires when they speak the truth.